Good day. Imagine Westminster as a theatre. The curtains are twitching, the audience is restless, and behind the stage someone is sharpening a knife with a very distinctive Mancunian accent. Because while the Prime Minister is insisting everything is under control, rumours are swirling that Andy Burnham is quietly measuring the office curtains and checking whether the keys to number 10 might fit his pocket. According to reports, this is not idle gossip. This is a supposed secret deal, stitched together with political thread and ambition, designed to get Burnham back into Parliament and one step closer to toppling Keir Starmer. And if that does not make you sit up straighter, nothing will. Quick favour before we open the trapdoor. If you're enjoying British Mirror and you want sharp, high-energy political analysis without the snooze factor, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. Over 94% of viewers still have not subscribed. It is free, it takes a second, and it genuinely keeps this channel alive. Thank you if you did. Now, back to the intrigue. Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, 56 years old, former Cabinet Minister, serial leadership contender, and professional political survivor. A man who has spent years cultivating the image of the straight-talking northern champion, sleeves rolled up, finger pointed firmly at Westminster. But here's the twist. You cannot oust a Prime Minister from a mayoral office. You need a seat, you need a voice in the Commons, and crucially, you need timing. Enter May. Whispers about Burnham plotting a return to Parliament have been around longer than a soggy manifesto. But now, according to insiders, those whispers have turned into something far more concrete. Labour rebel Jim McMahon is said to have told colleagues that a deal is already sewn up. Not being discussed, not being explored, sewn up. The language of finality, the language of someone who thinks the ink is already dry. So what is the alleged plan? According to reports, Andrew Gwynn, the MP for Gorton and Denton in Greater Manchester, is set to give up his seat in March. Why March? Because it conveniently clears the runway for Burnham to swoop in and run in May. A makeshift return to Parliament, some might say. Others would call it a perfectly executed political manoeuvre. Now, Andrew Gwynn is not stepping aside for a quiet life of gardening. His recent history is messy, controversial, and politically radioactive. He was sacked as health minister and suspended last year after reportedly posting offensive messages in a WhatsApp group. One alleged message reported by the Mail on Sunday claimed he joked about a pensioner constituent and said he hoped she died before the next election. Not exactly the sort of thing that screams long-term political future. Gwynn has also been openly critical of Keir Starmer's leadership, which already placed him firmly on the wrong side of the Labour family photo. And yet, as recently as last month, he told The Guardian he had no plans to stand down before the May elections. No plans, a phrase that in politics often means plans are very much afoot. Fast forward to now, and the picture appears to have changed dramatically. According to reports, Burnham, described as a close family friend of Gwynn, is poised to take over the seat. One Labour source told The Sun on Sunday that Burnham was boasting in the tea room that the deal was done. Gwynn steps down in March, Andy runs in May. After months of speculation, it is happening. If true, this is not just a local reshuffle, it is a direct challenge to the Prime Minister. Because Burnham is not coming back to Parliament to sit quietly on the backbenches, nodding earnestly and waiting his turn. He's coming back with intent. And the timing could not be worse for Keir Starmer. Polls are not just bad, they're historically grim. According to YouGov, just 18% of Britons had a favourable opinion of the Prime Minister last month. 18%. That's not approval, that's sympathy. His net favourability score sits at -54. To put that into context, that places him in the same territory as Boris Johnson on the day of his resignation and Jeremy Corbyn at his lowest point in June 2019. When your numbers are competing with political obituary moments, alarm bells should be deafening. This makes Burnham's potential return look less like opportunism and more like inevitability. In politics, blood in the water attracts sharks, and Starmer's ratings are bleeding. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because Burnham is not just popular in Greater Manchester. He has a brand, he has recognition, he has positioned himself as Labour's emotional alternative. Less technocratic, less loyally, more instinctive, more connected to everyday frustrations. And crucially, he has cross-party appeal in places where Starmer struggles. Take the Green Party. Zach Polanski, the Green leader, recently said something that would have made Labour HQ choke on its fair trade coffee. He said he could see potential to work with Andy Burnham to stop reform and challenge the rise of the far right. But with Keir Starmer, absolutely not. Let that sink in. A mainstream party leader openly ruling out cooperation with the sitting Prime Minister while keeping the door wide open for a Labour mayor who's not even currently an MP. That's not just personal preference, that's a strategic signal. Polanski's Greens are not a fringe sideshow anymore. Their membership has exploded, from 70,000 to 180,000 in just 4 months since he took over in September. That's not growth, that's a political growth spurt. And those members are young, engaged, and deeply skeptical of Starmer's cautious centrism. So imagine the scenario. Starmer limps on with dire approval ratings. Burnham returns to Parliament with a personal mandate. The Greens signal willingness to work with him. Labour backbenchers start whispering that maybe, just maybe, the party needs a different face at the top. The ingredients for a leadership earthquake are all there. Now let's pause and address the elephant in the room. Is this actually a secret deal, or just very convenient timing wrapped in conspiracy? Politics thrives on rumours, and not all of them are true. But what matters is not just whether the deal exists, it's whether people believe it does. And within Labour, belief is spreading fast. The optics alone are damaging for Starmer. A Prime Minister with collapsing approval ratings facing whispers that a more charismatic rival is manoeuvring his way back into Parliament through a friendly seat. Even if Starmer survives, he looks weak, and in politics, weakness is contagious. Burnham, contrast, looks like a man playing the long game. He walked away from Westminster to become a mayor. He built a power base. He cultivated an image as the defender of the North, unafraid to take on conservative governments and, quietly, his own party leadership. And now, with Labour in government but struggling to inspire, he may see his moment. Think of it like a chessboard. Starmer is focused on governing, firefighting crises, attending summits, managing the day-to-day grind. Burnham is positioning his pieces, slowly, methodically, waiting for the king to overextend. Supporters of Starmer will argue that this is all noise, that Burnham returning to Parliament doesn't automatically equal a leadership bid, that Labour needs unity, not internal drama. All true in theory. In practice, leadership challenges rarely begin with a press conference announcing intent. They begin with movements like this. A seat, a platform, a narrative, and then, when the moment feels right, a push. There's also a delicious irony here. Labour finally wins power after years in opposition, only to find itself immediately consumed by questions of succession. That speaks volumes about the fragility of Starmer's authority. Governments with strong leaders don't worry about internal coups. Governments with weak ones do. And don't underestimate the psychological impact of those poll numbers. Being labelled the most unpopular Prime Minister ever is not just a statistic, it's a weight. It shapes how colleagues treat you, how allies behave, how rivals sharpen their knives. Burnham's allies will insist he's simply answering the call of service, that Greater Manchester deserves representation, that he's always wanted to return to national politics. All perfectly reasonable. But politics is about perception, and the perception here is unmistakable. Meanwhile, Starmer faces an impossible bind. If he tries to block Burnham, he looks threatened and authoritarian.
If he welcomes him, he invites a rival into the Commons with a cheering section already assembled. Heads he loses, tails he loses. And then there's the Andrew Gwynn question. A sitting MP allegedly stepping aside amid controversy, making way for a friend with leadership ambitions. It doesn't look clean, it looks transactional. Voters notice these things. They may forgive many sins, but they have little patience for what looks like stitch-ups. Yet from Burnham's perspective, the opportunity is too perfect to ignore. A safe Labour seat, local roots, a moment of national weakness, and growing external support from parties like the Greens, who see him as more authentic, more flexible, more human. This is not just about replacing Starmer, it's about redefining what Labour wants to be. Managerial and cautious, or emotional and confrontational, centrist